We are less than 1 week away from the Climate Action Summit, where environmental, governmental, and civil leaders come together to address climate change.
Cronkite News sustainability reporter Jordan Evans joins us in the studio to explain how climate change affects you.
We are continuing our coverage on climate change ahead of Monday's United Nations Climate Summit in New York City. And if you're curious about how climate change is affecting us here in Arizona, we have a lot of data from Climate Central to help explain this. Climate Central is an independent organization of leading scientists and journalists. The organization surveys and conducts scientific research and compiles records from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So when we think of national parks, we think of them as places to escape the heat. But climate change, it's affecting them too. And right here in Arizona, let's take you to the Grand Canyon and show you this. These are the average annual temperatures over the past 100 years. And notice the trend here. We're talking nearly 2.5 degrees of warming there at the top of the Grand Canyon since record keeping began in 1916. Now let's take you down to Saguaro National Park. Pretty much the same thing down there, except from all the way from 1916 to the current century, we're talking more than 3 degrees of warming. Now, 2 to 3 degrees may not seem like a lot of warming to you, but when you factor in climate change in the next 100 years, we could be dealing with temperatures at the Grand Canyon just like here in Phoenix. According to Climate Central, out of 62 national parks analyzed, all of them but one shows a warming trend. This is in part because of the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which set a new high for the planet in the last 2 million years. CO2 is the leading cause of global warming, which means snow, ice, they're all disappearing from many parks. That allows the ground to absorb more solar radiation, which raises temperatures further. A warming planet will cause parks here in the Southwest to become drier, and according to a 2016 report from Climate Central, every park will experience, quote, a dramatic shift in its climate in the coming decades. Rising temperatures can impact visitation to the parks and threaten wildlife by making habitats not suitable. Let's switch gears now and talk about our major cities here in Arizona. In fact, in Tucson, we can talk about the number of days that are above 105 degrees. Take a look at this data from Climate Central. We're seeing a trend just like we saw with national parks, and we're talking about 17 more days where temperatures reach at least 105 degrees there in Tucson. Now here in the Valley of the Sun, we can take that number up just a little bit because of our elevation, but we're seeing the same pattern again. All the way from 1970 and to today's standards, we're seeing nearly 7 to 8 more days where temperatures are reaching at least 110 degrees. Not only does the urban heat island effect contribute to this, but when you put climate change on top of that, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Out of 244 cities analyzed by Climate Central, 75% of them recorded an increase in extremely hot days since 1970. Miami, Florida had the largest change of 90-degree-plus days, which was 75. The Center for Disease and Control says extreme heat is the deadliest of all weather hazards. And as we all know here in the Valley, extreme heat can take a toll on all of us during the summer. The Maricopa County Department of Public Health reported 182 heat-related deaths last year and 949 since 2010. The latest National Climate Assessment states that, quote, changes in extremely hot and extremely cold temperatures are projected to result in 9,000 deaths across 49 U.S. cities by the end of the century if we don't curb emissions. So we know that is a lot of information to take in, but we want to know, what is the one word that best describes your feelings about climate change? Share it with us on our Facebook page or tweet your word to us on Twitter at Cronkite News. Live in the Weather Center, Jordan Evans, Cronkite News.
Here's some of the top responses we've gotten so far: frightened, inevitable, critical, and cult. You can add your voice to the conversation by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Cronkite News. Here's some... This report is a part of Covering Climate Now, a global collaboration of more than 250 news outlets to strengthen climate coverage. Check out more from our public media partners in Elemental, covering sustainability, collaboration at elementalreports.com.